Barkley and I are here to do a very simple installation of a desktop Linux that pretty much anybody can do. You don't have to have a lot of technical knowledge. If you want to do servers or something like that, great, go nuts. You're going to need to know a lot of stuff. Fine, this is not what I'm doing here. This is so my mother can install Linux. Hopefully step by step, that easy. Couple things you're going to need before we start. You're going to need a little USB stick, something that's at least 4 gigabytes. This is USB 3.0. You're going to want probably 3.0. You can survive with 2.0, but you're going to have to be more patient because it's going to go a lot slower. You're also going to need a computer that has a working internet connection. It can be Mac, it can be Windows, it can be Linux, it doesn't matter. You just need to be able to download a few things and two things and be able to run a program that will run on any of those, Windows, Linux, or Mac, doesn't matter. A friend of mine put Linux on an old Windows computer the other day, and she said, because that's what Linux is for, right? Yes, Linux will repurpose old hardware beautifully. You will like it much more than the Windows that you used to have on it. It will run much faster than it used to run. You'll have a really good experience relatively. Remember, you're putting it on older hardware. If you put it on newer hardware, you're going to have a better experience, of course. Of course. We aren't putting it on the latest and greatest of hardware, but we're putting it on kind of a mid-range device. This is a Hades Canyon NUC. It is 16 gigabytes of RAM. It has a 500 gigabyte NVMe drive inside there. It has an i7 processor. It also has something that's important for me because I have important work stuff on my USB flash drive here, so I can't really use it for the install. And I'm going to use instead this little camera card. It's an SD card. There happens to be on the front of this a little SD slot, so I can use this for the install. You can use anything of similar. The form doesn't really matter. It just matters that you've got at least 4 gigabytes and hopefully something not too painfully slow. So this will work. New hardware is obviously going to give you a better experience, newer hardware at least. Brand new hardware might actually not be as good of an experience. If the hardware just came out, Linux might not yet have the drivers and things necessary to run it. So you might want hardware that's been out for at least a few months. Let me give you one quick warning. The installer on this system is called Cinchi, and it is not the greatest piece of software anyone has ever written. God bless the guys who wrote it, but it is not perfect software. You will not have, hopefully, a frustrating experience because I'm going to give you the step-by-step and hopefully you'll get through it no problem. But understand if there are problems, they probably aren't your problems. They probably are really software problems, problems with the installer, and we'll get you hopefully through those problems. You only have to cross this rickety bridge one time, and then you'll have a great system that you'll like a lot. Now, you have to use Cinchi again if you're going to reinstall your computer later, or you want to install a new computer, then you'll have to cross the rickety bridge again. Hopefully by then it'll be a nice, shiny, solid bridge. Get across the bridge, you get to have a Ferrari of a computer system, which you will like a lot.
Let's start by going to that internet-connected computer we talked about earlier. Pull up a web browser and go to antergos.com. Click the link that says Download. Now scroll down and select Latest Install Media. Under Antergos Live ISO, click Download ISO. Now browse to etcher.io. Download Etcher for the type of computer you're on. Install it and launch. Plug in your USB stick, select the Antergos ISO image you downloaded, and click Flash. Wait for Etcher to finish. Once it does, you'll have your USB installation stick. Put the completed USB stick into the computer you want to install Linux on and reboot. You may have to go into the BIOS, usually by hitting F2, and set the boot order to boot from the USB stick first. If you have Secure Boot turned on, turn it off now. Reboot. You should now be booting from the USB stick. Select the top item to boot Antergos USB stick normally. The second item on the list says USB. You'd think you'd select that, and you can try it if you'd like, but most likely you'll have better luck with the first option. After a moment, an options list should appear. Select Start Antergos Live and hit Enter. We've abbreviated some of the waiting, so don't worry if your system seems to be going more slowly. Once the live version is running, hit the power button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen and set up an internet connection. Cinchi, the Antergos installer, will appear. If you're connected to the internet now, click Install it. If you live in an English-speaking country, English should be highlighted. Click the right arrow in the Cinchi title bar to proceed. You're going to do that a lot. Cinchi will check that you're ready to go. You should see all green checks in the list. click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. If you're in the US, scroll down to the country list and select English US, United States. Click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. Click on the map until you set your correct time zone. Click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. Select your keyboard. Click on the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. From the list of desktop options, select KDE. Click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. On the Feature Selection screen, click Show Advanced Features. Turn on Arch User Repository, Bluetooth, Flash plugins, printing support, SSH, and uncomplicated firewall. Turn everything else off. Click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. An alert will appear for uncomplicated firewall. Click Close. A disclaimer will appear for the Arch User Repository. Click Close. On the Mirrors section, select Let Cincy Sort the Mirrors Recommended. Click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. On the Installation Type screen, select Erase Disk and Install Antergos. Leave everything else unchecked unless you want to encrypt this installation, which we highly recommend, especially for laptops. Click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. On the Automatic Installation Mode screen, double-check everything is as you expect it to be. Click the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. On the Installation Summary screen, double-check everything is as you expect it to be. Click on the right arrow in the Cincy title bar. In the confirmation dialog box, select Yes. Now fill out your name, computer name, username, password, and confirm your password. Select Require my password to log in. In the Cincy title bar, click Save. Lots of installation will occur, which you can follow if you wish on the progress bars. Eventually, a confirmation dialog will ask you, do you want to restart your system now? Click No. Cincy will close. Now go to the power button in the upper right-hand corner. Click it, and click the power button at the bottom of the menu. Select Restart. Your computer will take its time doing lots of really important stuff, I guess. Patiently let it finish. After a while, your Antergos system should boot and ask you to log in. If so, you should be good to go. Welcome to Linux.
Next, let's take a look at the KDE desktop and give you some ideas as to how you might customize it to make it more useful for your workflow.